Now we're tied at 5 as we go to the bottom of the 11th. Here's Aaron Boone to lead off.
His first at-bat of the game. There's a fly ball deep to left. It's on its way. There it goes. And the Yankees are going to the World Series. Aaron Boone has hit a home run. The Yankees go to the World Series for the 39th time in their remarkable history.
That one's drilled deep to left field. There it goes. That ball is gone. See ya. A walk-off two-run home run for Alex Rodriguez.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bronx Benchwarmers Podcast. I'm Charlie.
I'm Max. And we're just two friends having conversations about Yankees baseball, so let's dig in. So the Yankees just took 2 out of 3 for the Blue Jays. Their bats really showed up in that series. Looked like they came ready to play. I thought maybe going into the 9th inning of that game, they had a chance to squeak one across, but they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I think their starting pitching has been on. Garrett Cole got his early season struggles out of the way. Cortez is pitching well. Everybody from Talon to Montgomery, everybody's pitching well. They're bullpen sharp. They're rolling on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I mean they're staying in the game. I think they're never out of the game. It doesn't ever feel like they're out of the game. Where like sometimes last year it felt like they were maybe out of the game, even if it was the 4th or 5th inning, and they had no hits. It felt like they were never going to get that run, But I don't have that feeling this year. I feel like at any time anybody can come through for this team. It's a pretty good feeling to have right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed this, Max, but it seems like they've been scoring early. They've been getting runs on the board early, which is always a self-confidence booster for the starting pitching, obviously. But they've been putting runs on. Last year, it seemed like there were many games where their starting pitchers were pitching great, but they weren't scoring them runs. And this year, they're giving their pitchers a lot of run support.
Yeah, the run support's way up. Run support makes a huge difference for a pitcher's mentality as well. Just to go out on the mound, thinking that it's okay if I give up a run or something. But you pitch probably attack hitters a little bit more, from a pitcher's standpoint when you're not so afraid to maybe give up a run.
Exactly.
And I think last year pitchers were pitching afraid to give up a run.
Exactly. Well, they don't have any confidence because they know, hey, my team's not scoring, so I can't give up any runs if they're not going to put any on the board. So, and a lot of times that's when pitchers make mistakes. Is when there's so much pressure. If they're relaxed, Cole pitches his best when all they need to do is give Cole two to three runs. That's all. And then you can see how much more relaxed and confident he is. And it's usually a no doubter win for him when that's the case.
That's definitely true. And it just seems like the team is it seems like they're faster this year. I know like they've got 17 stolen bases already. And last year it took them like 79 games, I believe, to get to 17 stolen bases, and they're like 30 games in. They're already at 17 stolen bases, and guys like the Castro kid, Kiner Falefa, they're adding speed to the team, and they're scoring from first, they're scoring from second. It's a different team. It's a faster team. It just feels like they're always in the game. It feels like the guys are here ready to play every day. You can see the work that's being put in. It's showing on the field.
It really is. And, there's a couple guys that are struggling. Josh Donaldson. Let's see here. Some other guys. Higashioka has been really struggling. But they're starting to pick up their average,
and they're doing their job. They're doing their job defensively. I think it's what's keeping them in the lineup.
Exactly, which right now we need that. We need defensive too. Everybody looks at early season. No one really pays attention to the fielding in early season, but it does make a difference. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, he's been playing phenomenal at shortstop. Granted, he's hitting outstanding right now. He's got a 288 average on the season, and that's surprising. When they picked him up, I didn't know what to expect from him, but he's been giving them some good at bats. And he's been playing the field very well.
Yeah, came through with that nice walk off week. I think he's really showing up for the team.
Yeah, and I will give credit to Boone. I know we kind of dissed him in our last couple podcasts, but um, I will give credit to him the way he's managed. He's been giving guys rest. At first, I know there were many questions for Yankee fans in the early season, at the beginning of the season, about how he's going to manage DJ LeMahieu, if he was going to play it every day, but a different position, how that was going to work with Torres, because you got two potential All Stars, and most likely one of them is going to be on the bench every game. If you look at it.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I think he's doing a good job balancing it. And Torres is performing, and LeMahieu's performing, and I'm sure that makes the decisions harder. But at least the guys that he's putting on the field are coming through.
yeah, and you know what? It's not a strategy I would have done when if I was a manager of the Yankees, or somebody in their office like Brian Cashman. But uh, they have two high quality players like that. It does give them rest. It does give them opportunities. They're more fresh. They're more willing to go than playing every single game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think as they're both performing, and you can call one in off the bench if you have to later in the game. Torres has a history of being a clutch hitter, and so does LeMahieu, and it worked out for Torres today. With his walk off home run against the Rangers, and he seems like he knew that his job was potentially in danger this year. And he came ready to play. He put a lot of work in the offseason, and defensively, at second base, he's ranked, in the top amongst the league at second base. And he's really performing well.
Yeah. I mean, if you go on StatCast, baseballsavant.com, there's a lot of interesting stats here, but one that you and I were talking about before we got on this podcast earlier, and one I really want to mention, is the BBE, and that's batted ball events. So that hits on how many times a ball is batted, whether it's an out or a base hit. Um, it counts how many times out of all your bats for the season you actually put the bat on the ball. And right now, Aaron Judge and several of the other Yankees are actually in the top of that category, and I think that's a big part of it. I mean, last year they were striking out a lot. The strikeouts are still up high, but if you put that ball in play, or at least get the bat on it, more than striking out, you're going to have better chance to win the game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I know, I think Judge is ranked number one, Stanton's I think number 4 currently, but when you put the ball, when you put the ball in play, anything can happen, but nothing can happen if you don't put it in play. There's nothing good that can come out of a strikeout. But these guys they're putting the ball in play, and they're creating stress on defense. They're creating opportunities, and they hit the ball so hard that even if they're hitting a routine ground ball to third or shortstop, they're shortstops in third. We saw it a little bit in the Toronto series with Bichette at shortstop and Chapman at third base, kind of bobbling routine ground balls, but they look like routine ground balls on TV. But those balls are 115, 116 miles an hour off the bat. That's nothing. That's not routine. Those are tough plays to make. And if you're going to put the ball in play, you're always going to create an opportunity to get on base.
Exactly. So out of Aaron Judge's 99 at bats on the season so far, he's batted the ball. He's put it in play 66 times.
Yeah, with high velocity.
Yes, him and Stanton they're in the top 4 of the BBE, and they're also in the top 3 of exit velocity, which in today's day and age, 10 years ago, exit velocity wasn't a thing. Since they started measuring it, it really has a significant effect on the game, in my opinion, because the harder you hit that ball, the chances are the more balls are going to drop in for hits or go out of the stadium.
Yeah, they're at least giving giving an opportunity to themselves to get on base.
Yeah. So what do you think about Judge? Let's dig into that a little bit. How do you think he's handling this season? Do you think he's got a chip on his shoulder because the Yankees didn't sign him? What do you think? What's your opinion on that?
I think he bet on himself. I think it's hard to say whether or not that was a smart thing to do from the beginning, but it seems to be working out right now. For somebody to bet on himself and come out right out of the gate, 9 homers already. He's got 19 RBIs. He's showing up. He's a leader. He's got a high OPS, high average. All of his numbers are there. I think he's proving to the Yankees what he's worth. I think he really had a number set in his mind that he was willing to accept, in order to resign. Although it didn't happen, I think, him taking a chance on himself right now looks like it's paying off. I think the Yankees are probably thinking the same thing right about now, but it's a long season. It's a 162 game season, but I think right now, I think he's on a great path. If he can continue, I think that if he can put up his, anywhere between 40 to 50 home runs, 100 and, between 100 to 120 RBIs, I think he'll get the money he's looking for. I think he's definitely a big gamble. I mean, he could have come right out of the gate and got hurt, and it could have really hurt his chances where he could have had a long-term deal signed and not had to worry about that. But it seems to me like he's playing without thinking about it. I think he took a chance on himself, and so far it's paying off.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats here, and he's leading the team in hits, home runs, and he's second to RBIs, to Anthony Rizzo. And, these guys are also, what I'm noticing is they're taking a lot of walks. I mean, it's only been 28 games, and Anthony Rizzo's got 12 walks, and Judge has 10. I mean, that number's up too. I know they usually, take a lot of walks throughout the season, but that early on is a good thing because it's showing, their chase rate is down. Their them chasing balls is definitely down, and it all equates to runs when they get on the base. That's all they need to do is get on, whether it's a walk or a hit, and I think it's working early on here.
Yeah, a little bit of bunting going on today too in the Rangers series. Higashioka laid down a nice bunt, put runners on second and third in a tight game. He led to a sac fly from Stanton, but I think that also, have you noticed too, like without the weather breaking yet in New York at the stadium, it seems like there's a lot of balls that are being hit in the stadium that they're not getting out of the ballpark yet. That I think probably starting next month and going into the summer months, that those balls are going to turn into home runs.
And that is a great stat because the Yankees are, even though it is cold, like you're saying, they're not getting out of the stadium. The Yankees are still leading the major leagues in home runs with 35 right now.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are just so powerful. I mean, today in the first game of this Texas series, Stanton hit a ball out to left center field, 461 feet with the wind blowing in.
Oh, yeah. If you put this team in a warmer state, or you put this team in a state like Colorado where the air pressure is greater, the elevation's greater, this team would have 50 home runs already.
Yeah. I think the guys they're on the ball. I think they're seeing the ball. Hicks is taking his walks. He's making things happen on the bases. He's not scared to steal bases.
Yeah. The only thing that scares me is, and this happens, every year, is, do you think they're relying too much on the home run ball? Because at least in the first couple of weeks of the season, I every time I looked, it seemed like their runs came on home runs. Every time they scored was mainly a home run.
Yeah, it seems like that's happening right now, but also I don't think the mentality though is relying on the home run ball. I don't think that's
and I will say there's not many solos. Like Aaron Judge last year, I don't have the stat right in front of me right now, but Aaron Judge, most of his home runs last year were solo home runs.
Yeah, there was never anybody on base, last season. It was, they had that problem, and I think
exactly this year there's a lot of 2-run and 3-run home runs being hit, and I mean that's the difference in the ball game. So they are relying on that, but they are getting base runners to bring these runs home. So I do think it's a good thing to look forward to, and I don't think it's bad if they rely on the home run, but I think they need to start getting more, keep increasing the amount of base hits per game.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think the platooning the outfield situation where using Judge in center, Hicks in center, using Stanton in right. I mean, I think Stanton has proved over his career that he's a fantastic right fielder. I think that the Yankees never gave him enough credit for being the outfielder that he is. We see the plays that he makes whenever he's in the game. in right field, and he made a fantastic play in Toronto. And I think he showed who he really is in the field. And the Yankees shouldn't be scared to use him in right field so they can move around and DH other players. And
Exactly. That's the main point. They need to get LeMahieu or Torres, whoever's not in the game playing that day, starting. They need to get him in as a DH, and that's a huge. I mean, the last couple of years, Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone made it seem like, okay, if Stanton wasn't the DH, he couldn't even play because he wasn't good in the field. But I do think he is a little rusty. I do agree with you. He is a terrific outfielder, but he hasn't had to play it the last couple of years, especially coming from Miami. He was a solo DH for the most part his last year or two there, and it's hard to it's hard to change that and get used to it, especially he's getting older. But I do think the more he plays it, the more comfortable he's going to get, and the better the Yankees will be for it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And I think I know they just lost LeCastro today to a 10-day IL stint. He's having I think he got a pectoral strain or something. He's having trouble swinging the bat right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they just seem deeper. Like the depth of the team just seems deeper right now. It just seems like they're like today they called up Estevan Florial, who's a longtime prospect, to come up and do the job. He played his solid center field and put the bat on the ball.
Exactly. And then you had a chance for Gallo to DH to pinch hit at the end of the game. You had a chance for LeMahieu to pinch hit as well. So you always have guys off the bench, and I think that's a great thing. I mean, I don't think there's any team in baseball right now that has that depth in the lineup and on the bench as well.
Yeah, I think it's all coming together at the right time.
Exactly. You look at the Blue Jays lineup is just nasty. They have a nasty lineup. It's just so intimidating if you're opposing pitcher. But once one or two of those guys are out or take a day off or get hurt, they don't have much depth on their bench.
Yeah,
the Yankees
without Hernandez this weekend, when they didn't have Hernandez in the lineup, and Hernandez is he's been a Yankee killer in the past. I'm sure the Yankees were excited to see him not in the lineup, but I think the Blue Jays need to get him back in order to compete with the Yankees in the division. I'm sure he'll come back, but I think right now, currently in the AL East, the Yankees definitely have a leg up on the other teams.
Yeah, I really think they do. I think it's going to come down to them in Toronto. I think Tampa is not as good this year, and I don't think the Red Sox are going to make it to the playoffs. I could be wrong, but I do think the key to the Yankees to keep this going is they need to stay healthy.
Yeah,
if you lose Judge and Stanton like we've been doing the last couple of years during the middle of the summer or late summer, they're out for 3-4 weeks at a time. That's when that's why the Yankees need to push forward now and keep growing that lead.
Yeah, they need to go into September and October with a a substantial lead. They can't play the game they played last year where it's the last day of the season and they're trying to squeak into the playoffs.
But as a wild card.
Yeah, but I don't think that team last year was actually a playoff team. I think they got lucky and they snuck in, by one game. I think this team is a playoff caliber baseball team. They just need to stay healthy and keep moving in the direction they're moving, keep the pitching healthy, keep the depth, and they need to just keep guys healthy. That's the key. And right now everything seems to be going pretty well with that. And I think guys are getting the right amount of rest. They're rotating in and out. Stanton's really helped create a situation by playing defense where, the Yankees can use different guys at DH where he doesn't have to be the DH every day. He's getting out in right field and he's playing well enough to stay out there.
Exactly. So last year, at the end of the season, the Yankees only had 4 guys over 250 average. That was Judge, Stanton, LeMahieu, and Torres. So far this season, okay, they have 5 guys, and then they have 3 guys that are very, very close with Rizzo, Torres, and Josh Donaldson, all punching that line. I know it's early. I know there's, another 130 games to go, but that's a good sign that their averages are up. They're getting good quality at bats right now. Especially, there's a lot of good pitchers in their division that they face so far, and they're putting the ball in play. And I think it's leading to that's one of the things making them win right now.
Yeah, it seemed like last year was like get a runner on somehow, get lucky to get a runner on, and then ground into a double play. It was like a formula last year. It was like every time they got a runner on first base, you expected them to ground into a double play. Well, I don't have that feeling watching this team right now.
Exactly. I also don't have the feeling that I know Judge is going to end up with 100 and something strikeouts. Same with Stanton, but at least right now during this past, they've won 12 out of the last 14 games. I don't. Every time he gets up now, Judge or Stanton, I'm not expecting a strikeout like I was last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's the strikeouts are down, and I don't know if that'll continue throughout the year. But if they do, they have a good recipe to win ball games.
yeah. I mean, these other teams have to watch out as soon as the the streak, the home run streak version of Stanton shows up, which it's going to show up as soon as the hot weather shows in, and he starts hitting 10 home runs a month or something. It's gonna be tough for other teams to come into New York and beat the Yankees.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest keys here, and we've been talking about this since our podcast began, is Joey Gallo. I like Joey Gallo. I want to give him the credit. I want to like him. But his numbers since he joined New York, he's had chances to prove himself, but he hasn't put the numbers in. I think he's in the same boat as Stanton in the fact as he can just turn it on. Within a month, he can hit 10 home runs.
Yeah, I feel like by the end of the year, we're going to be looking at stats for Gallo, which is like sitting around 40 home runs and 100 RBIs.
And it's crazy to look at right now. 30 games in, he's got 2 home runs and a couple RBIs. He's not hitting that well. But I think if he locks it in, we're going to be talking about a very, very special team here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, guys. On that note, that's all we have for this week. Let's keep rooting for the Yankees and hope they keep this hot streak going. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you.